And welcome back to the AmGo podcast with Bill, Brian, and Mike. Today's topic is streaming services. Where are they going? What's going to happen with the movie industry as it pertains to streaming services? So let's get it started, Mike, and go.
Well, this may be a premature conversation to have, but there's going to come a tipping point where we realize that, probably in the next 20 years, that we have individual subscriptions to all these services that pretty much add up to a full cable bill. And there's going to be some consolidation, and I think we're going to be for it at the time, but it's ultimately going to put us back in the same position that we were in that caused streaming services to get popular, of having network television that pretty much controls everything. And the cable bill, essentially,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it does look that way, especially when now you have like CBS and individual channels breaking off into their own streaming services. And it's kind of lame.
Yeah, some of them are going to consolidate in the end, I believe.
Exactly.
I mean, some of them are going to be standouts. Netflix will try to stay as long as they can. Hulu, those beginning things will start absorbing things or getting absorbed into other things in the package deal. And we're right back to the cable problem, except for on-demand videos.
Even Disney Plus, it's kind of annoying because Disney at this point owns like 90%, if not all, of Hulu. So, you're just kind of milking people to have two streaming services under the same banner. If they own Hulu, why not put the Disney library as a section or subsection of Hulu? It just, I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed that stuff like there were certain things. I'm trying to think of an example. I think Avengers: Infinity War was still on Netflix when Disney Plus came out, so they couldn't, because of the contract, put it on Disney Plus at the same time. I don't know. I wonder why, like all the Fox, why is Die Hard not on Disney Plus? They own it now.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably
like
contracted
that.
to someone else.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
My guess.
Same thing with Ralph Breaks the Internet. That was on Netflix. First movie's on Disney Plus. I'm like, okay, the next one, it'll be available after the license in with some other place, Netflix. But yeah, they will eventually consolidate after some of this time lapse. Everything's just going to pull together probably, and they're going to try to compete with the movie theaters, which are dying out. That's the next issue we've all been discussing. Movie theaters. Are they going to survive all this bullshit? Probably only as a luxury.
I was going to say, who knows? I mean, I feel like the larger theaters will probably survive. And, it looks like already some of the smaller theaters have started to go under. But who knows? Maybe they'll make a resurgence later. What's interesting is following this stuff with a couple of studios. I think Universal was like the first big one. Get into these arguments with these theater companies over whether or not they will release movies at the same time to streaming as they do to theaters. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. I know like AMC said that they won't play any film that gets released to both.
Yeah, I think they're going to get into like an Alamo Drafthouse situation. They'll be able to sell the experience of going to a theater, select seating, nice chairs, and table service for food and alcohol. I think that's going to be what, in 20 years, that's what a movie theater will be, where it's more of a dinner and a movie, in one place kind of a situation, and not your classical theater. Because it's inevitable that they're going to start releasing stuff day and day on demand, right? And I'm for it. I'm totally for it. I haven't been... Honestly, they'll make more money from me having that model. I'll even pay $5 a pop, no subscription service, just $5 a pop to watch a brand new movie. You know what? I'll give you $10.
I was going to say, I think they've been historically the on-demand like pay-per-view type of thing, which is what they're talking about, has been more expensive than just like $4 or $5. It's like basically like buying a movie ticket. But the benefit is that you can, watch it with a group of people or whatever for the same price.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the balance. Like, if you make it too expensive, then I am going to have a viewing party and invite 6 people over, and now I'm only paying once. But if you can keep it low enough to where all 6 people will pay individually, then I think you're
I
in
think
good
that's
shape.
that's really an area that video on demand has kind of missed the mark for me, because even with movies that have been out for a while, stuff that's not on a streaming service, and you pop over to, I don't know, to Amazon or whatever, and you find it
YouTube. I rent a lot of
but
stuff on YouTube.
it's
Honestly.
like $5-6, and it's like I don't understand, because you can go down to like Redbox or other stuff and get a movie for a couple of dollars, to rent for one night. Even going back to the days of like Blockbuster and stuff like that, I feel like it wasn't that expensive. But now, if you go to rent a movie, it's just not worth it.
Well,
some movie's been out for 10 years and they want $6 to watch it for 24 hours. Like, I don't know.
I mean, YouTube does pretty well with that. I've rented several things on YouTube. I haven't spent more than $3.99, but I rented. I was on a kick where I wanted to watch all the Jack Ryan movies, and I'd never seen Red October, so I rented, Red October, and I think Netflix only had Patriot Games, so I rented Clear and Present Danger on YouTube. I've rented quite a few things from YouTube, and one from Amazon Prime. I think I wanted to watch The Social Network on Christmas, so I rented it from Amazon Prime. That was a little expensive. That was like $6, come to think of it. But YouTube. Yeah. I mean, I'll spend $3.99. That's about what I would have spent at a video rental spot,
The thing is, for me, is like I've had a couple of instances where I really want to watch this movie. I don't know, maybe for a holiday or something, and go and look for it, and it's either on YouTube or something, and you run into it at $4, $5, $6, but you can go on Amazon, have it in 2 days for that same price, and own it. That's kind of because usually it's older films, you know what I mean? Because the newer films can be even more expensive. They can be, 10,
$20 or whatever.
Yeah, or $20. Yeah, just to rent.
Yeah, but I feel the difference there is, I mean, I have a bunch of DVDs that are on my. I'm looking at them right now on my entertainment center, and I never go back and watch fucking hardly any of them. I'll watch Star Wars every now and again. I'll watch Indiana Jones, but that's pretty much it. I haven't watched Avatar since I first bought it. Yeah. So it almost does make more. I'm just going to have to pay to get special tracks to take it out later. Why not?
It's also kind of annoying that for that same $5-6, you can have a month's worth of streaming service.
True. Yeah.
So I think the pricing is off.
Well, we talked about movie theaters. What about DVD sales? How do you think the streaming services are affecting that? I'm sure DVDs are down.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's going to be kind of like video games. It's going to start to phase out the physical discs.
Yeah, GameStop is going down, right, Bill?
Yeah.
Let's celebrate.
Not fast enough.
Celebrate good times. Goodbye, GameStop is going down.
I know I just kind of defended the all digital service, but there is something nice about, the internet went down for whatever reason. I can pop in my DVD still. I feel the same way about video games,
There are those
internet's down. I
collectors.
can still put on my disc of whatever.
You still will want some of your favorite lovables. Like my wife would love to get the whole Friends DVDs, but it's like $200.
Yeah.
So there's some series like that with me, like Doctor Who.
When's
your birthday?
Games, I think. Oh. Okay.
Our birthday's coming up real soon.
I'll chip in. I'll fucking shoot you $20 to help with that. Man.
She has HBO Max now to get all of it. So.
But what if the internet goes down, Brian?
Then she can suck it up and deal with it. Okay.
And he can go put another baby inside of her.
Let's not talk about that. Let's see.
Okay.
Either one of you guys pop out a baby first, then we'll talk about that. Why am I the one with the children?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Okay, let's drop this issue now and move on.
No, you done good, Brian. All things considered.
Yes.
What were we talking about?
Where's the moving on? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I derailed us.
DVDs and got sidetracked. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Right, what about quality? How do you feel these services are doing quality-wise? We've seen what Netflix had put out. Just in our top 10, we're like, the best Netflix can do is popcorn flicks, movies-wise. They tried it with The Marriage Story. You were saying Highwaymen was pretty good. But was it Hollywood level good?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
I mean, I think the couple of films that made our list were definitely Hollywood quality, like
Yeah.
full
Well,
full theater.
I don't have much faith in current Hollywood or previous Hollywood, I think. But that could just be nostalgia be knocking, like T2.
Well, I mean, personally, I hope that theaters survive, and I don't know how the experience is for you guys, and some people may like it better to watch a film in their home, be able to pause it and go to the bathroom or whatever. But to me, it seems like no matter what I do, you lose the experience. The dogs bark, or something happens, somebody calls you. I don't know. There's just a million things, and then by the time you're done, you're like, well, what was going on? Where were we at in the film? You're rewinding it and trying to sit back down. So it's kind of annoying. And for me, like, going to the theater is an event. It's something to do. It's entertainment. And you go there with the sole purpose of being in, a dark theater and focused in on a film. You can enjoy the film in its entirety, the way it was meant to be presented, in the format it was meant to be presented in. I do think that there is something lost no matter what you do with the whole filmmaking aspect and the idea that your attention is focused on the film by trying to stream it at home.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some full circle event where, we move away from theaters into streaming on demand's first day. And then after a few years, we kind of cycle back because you get tired of that and do miss, like you said, that experience. It is an event. I've gotten dressed up for one release, Me and my date acted like we were on the red carpet and shit, We weren't. We were going to see Transformers with you, Bill, I think. But we had like some early release, so we thought we'd dress up like we're going to the fucking opera,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's going to happen to those Star Wars release events? Everyone dressing up, waiting in line for
I don't think movie theaters will ever go away. I wouldn't be surprised if they consolidated a little bit, and you did just have one game in town, AMC or whatever. And it would be cool if there was an empty theater in Laurel. You guys know that for a long time. And every time I walked by it, I thought, man, we should like lease that and make it an art house. Art films, obviously not like fucking paintings. Because fuck paintings, right?
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Even art's going in the
Millennials,
way of
baby.
video.
I mean, it is kind of like the difference between going to a museum and looking at art or watching a digital tour of it on your computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes and no. It's close, but I don't think it's quite there.
Yeah. So, and it also depends on what kind of setup you have at home, what the average person has,
True.
Yeah, taking a digital tour because I had some papers I had to write, and you had to do a participation paper where you had to go out and experience things. I had an option to go to these digital tours in museums.
That's hilarious.
I chose the Smithsonian, and I'm like, this digital tour sucks ass. What do I write about? Yeah, I just followed scene to scene. It was a little hard to read all the exhibits and take in the atmosphere. It was okay, but I would have rather went to the fucking museum.
Yeah, man, I would have went with you. Me and my mom were supposed to go to museums when she was going to visit in July, but that's been canceled pretty much. Yeah. I want to go back to the museum. One of my favorite childhood experiences was going to see this Norman Rockwell exhibit that was touring the nation, I'm a Norman Rockwell fan for life because of that. And I was familiar with his work. We had a big book of his art, and I would flip through it and kind of read the little tidbits about Saturday Evening Post and all that. But it's not the same when you get to see the brushstrokes live in person.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying, Bill, about that. That's the way the art was meant to be experienced.
I mean, that said, they are going to have to make some concessions.
Speaking yeah. Cheaper concessions.
But that, exactly, man. I think theaters have gotten, too far out, for most people to really enjoy. They've gotten out of touch. Nobody wants to go and pay, in total $30 a person to go see a movie for 2 hours. It's just not, for the amount of entertainment time, it's not worth it. And I think that's why they're really seeing a lot of this. Even before COVID, a lot of the backlash and people leaving theaters and why they don't have, theaters filled unless it's a huge movie and only for the first weekend kind of shit. It's just too ridiculous. The concessions are too expensive. The average ticket's too expensive. They've taken away a lot of the other ways to see the film too. Like what happened to cheaper matinees? At best, maybe you get
They're
$1
still there.
off now.
That's like $6 for a matinee. It's not bad.
Well, you
Not,
realize that
not here.
most
Not at this
theaters
theater,
don't
yeah.
make any money off the ticket price. They don't make any money.
Not a lot. Not a lot. They
of
make
them.
some, but
make a
but
little
not
bit.
a lot.
They
yeah.
make their
Yeah.
money off the concession.
Off concessions.
So it must
But
be
it's
the
just-
films just asking for so much money, so they need to set a certain price so they can meet that
But
criteria.
we've talked about this kind of thing before. Is it better to have, I don't know, 10 people out of 100 buy really expensive popcorn, or to have it priced to where 90 out of 100 buy the popcorn? You know what I mean? Because I feel like in the long run, they would probably make more if they had it more reasonably priced. Because I like sitting down with popcorn and a soda, to watch a movie, sure. But I'd say without using little points on the rewards card or something like that to where I can get it down to a reasonable price, I would say probably 9 out of 10 movies that I see, I don't buy anything because it's just too expensive.
Yeah, the
It's a
soda
weird
and
balance.
popcorn should be cheap, but I understand some of the other products being a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, the dead cost on popcorn and soda, I mean, we
Nothing.
all know
It's
like
nothing.
10 cents.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah, for the
cup,
syrup-
it's like, no matter what, it's like 25 cents per cup, no matter how big the cup is. Unless you're using, like, really high quality cup material. Yeah, 25 cents about.
And that's a good point. That's a good segue into, there's a weird balance between, okay, I think the, stadium seating, selectable seat changed the game. They tried to adapt.
I hate that, by the way. They have it to where you have to pick your seat for every movie here now, and it has been a huge drawback for me.
Even if it's not the recliner?
Yeah, any theater, anytime, any showing, not even like an early release or like the theater style, any theater seat here has to be selected.
But that they did that in order to survive, right? And people seem to respond favorably overall, I think.
What do you mean by did it to survive?
I think cramped leg space was probably a complaint they heard often in their surveys. When Netflix started coming around and movie theaters were struggling pretty hard, stadium-style seating with the big recliners was kind of their way of adapting.
Now, if you're talking about those style of theater, but I'm talking about just regular seating, they make you select your seats.
The point I was
Which
trying to make,
creates a
though,
problem.
the point I was trying to make, though, is that, they're obviously larger than the regular seats. So you're losing
In that style of theater,
15%
yeah,
maybe more of your seating capacity.
I don't know what
So-
hoity-toity theaters you've been going to, Bill. This place down here
No,
in
this
Baltimore.
is just the regular Regal, but instead of, I think they have one screen where they put in the bigger seating, but like all of their screens now, you have to select your seat no matter what, which is really annoying because you are kind of crammed in, and they won't let you choose individual seats or put spaces anywhere for obvious reasons. But say when Josh and I go to the theater, we end up shoulder to shoulder somewhere unless the theater's empty and we're able to move, which is really annoying. I don't know, just because when it's first come first serve, you get kind of where you want to be and have the space to stretch out, unless it's something like first night and it's super packed. I get that, but it's just very awkward to get the seats that you want with having to do that selecting thing. I hate it.
I've not had that experience, but I'm not the biggest theater goer. I've probably been to maybe about 5 shows over the last 5 years. So
the other huge drawback to it is that it creates a half an hour wait time to get your tickets. Because everybody's looking at the screen and, let's see, what row is this and what seats. And I mean, it gets ridiculous. In the wintertime, you're outside and it's freezing. It's a real pain in the ass. That's something I think that they need to toss out the window unless it's a special viewing kind of deal, like a first weekend, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. The Because I don't. I mean, regardless of the fact that I would probably step. I mean, I step into a theater very rarely now. Half the time, I'm willing to just wait. But I still go see the movies I want to see in the theater. I feel like I would go the same amount of time. I would go to the theater just as often if everything was available day and day on demand, because there are some movies that I just want to see in the theater.
Want to see in the theater, yeah.
So I definitely am for them sticking around. And there are certain, I don't know what their profit margins are like, but there are certain things that they're going to have to do to survive in this new world. That is pivoting towards a digital delivery system. I'm sure a lot of the bigger movie AMCs and Regals and whatnots, they've probably already started looking into that, because they're at the very least hundreds of millions of dollars, $100 million companies, you know.
Yeah, that's not even
I still
too.
think if they stop gouging, that they get more people buying concessions ultimately.
Yeah,
and have bigger profit.
this sort of trend also is getting more people to create like a theater-like environment in their homes if they can afford it.
Yeah.
People
Even if they
are-
sell seats, AMC branded seats or something.
Yeah, chairs are getting some luxury. A lot of people got those comfy gamer chairs.
I've seen them. Well,
Yeah, if people got
Yeah, but
money, they can replicate that experience. They can get big screen TVs, surround systems. They can set the lighting in their house. You not only with the streaming services, it gives you a chance to, and people who have money can create their own theater within their home. That's not a lot of people, but they will lose the type of market, especially since theaters are closed now. They'll lose it to people who are like, fuck, I can't go out to theaters, but I'd like that experience. So let me just create it at my own home. The people who have that excess money to do that, and as you're saying, it's so damn expensive. So if they do bring down the pricing somehow, they'll get more common people who cannot replicate that experience in their own homes.
yeah, man. I love vaudeville, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And I feel like theater is meant to entertain the masses, right? No matter what the format, whether it be live theater or movies, you know? So I would like to see some jog back to that.
So getting back to what I'm talking about, let's get back into the streaming shows. We were sort of limited last time in our top 10 formats. Is there anything that you think the streaming services are doing right with their programming? I think Netflix has a weird, diverse, this is Netflix, you're greenlit, that sort of joke that they use in a lot of comedies, that they just take a whole bunch of stuff and just throw it out.
I feel like at first that was okay, because you kind of
Hit or miss
throw
style.
a bunch of right. You throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and see what sticks. I don't, especially with them starting out, as their own studio. I can understand that approach, and he sees what's out there creatively too. Which ways you want to go. But now, man, Netflix doesn't make any sense to me, because they'll have a popular show that's really well done, and for some reason they'll give it like 2-3 seasons and cut it. And you're like, why? Ratings were high for it. It was winning awards. Everybody was tuning in to watch it. And then all of a sudden they're like, we're on to a new project.
Well, I
It doesn't
understand
really make
with
any
all the
sense.
Marvel things, that probably was seeing Disney take over. They saw the writing on the wall and didn't want to give them any more
Yeah.
receipt.
Marvel's different.
Yeah, I mean, in some things. Like there's going to be, what? A Silent Voice? No, that's an anime. Whatever big movie they promoted on Netflix, Bird Box, I think it was.
Mm.
I think there's a sequel to that.
Yeah, why?
Well,
It was a cultural phenomenon for about a week.
yeah, so excited. Even The Witcher probably had better hype, but that had a fandom behind it. The Witcher. That's at least something better to throw your money behind. I'm all for creating original programming.
Toss some coin to Witcher, you mean?
Yeah.
There's also
Thank you.
Animes.
One of us had to do it.
Of course. There's also animes, but yeah, putting your money behind something that already has a dedicated fandom is a smart move for Netflix. And they're just doing some other stuff, which I respect them for. Respect Netflix.
I mean, I appreciate the streaming service's willingness to be more creative or to be more diverse, because Hollywood, we've talked about this before, how Hollywood has really gotten away from that in a bad way. Everything is either Marvel or Star Wars. It's just kind of it gets repetitive. Even though we love those movies and we'll go see them for the most part, it's getting old now. Like, I don't even know. We've talked about how many more Marvel movies are we actually going to go see in a theater? Probably not many. So
maybe one.
The fact that streaming services are saying to a smaller filmmaker or to somebody taking a risk, let's go ahead and run it, I can appreciate that. What I don't understand, though, is with their series, why they seem to either cut funding or cancel shows that are popular.
Give some examples.
Well, we had on our list, Kimmy Schmidt seemed to just all of a sudden, end out of nowhere.
It has an interactive movie now.
It does, but I'm saying I don't know why. They never really gave a reason. Did the actors want to move on? You know what I mean? So it just was weird. There's been some lesser known titles that I liked and that Lauren liked. There was one called Samurai Gourmet, and Sweet Tooth Delivery Man, and a few others that everybody seemed to like and had positive reviews when you look it up online. But they did like one season and then dropped it.
But was that Netflix funded?
Yeah, those were Netflix originals.
Oh. I mean, Discovery, I think, got funding from someone, and that's still getting funding. I think it was Netflix even.
Star Trek?
Yeah,
Discovery?
Star Trek Discovery.
I think that's a CBS All Access.
Yeah, but someone else had money into it. I don't know who it was. You would have to. I think it was actually Netflix, and they were going to get a piece of that pie later on, but maybe deals changed. I just know.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's Netflix, but I knew they had backing from someone else.
I guess going back to the Marvel thing, comic books belong in some sort of serialized event that I think would make more sense to have, to use Marvel as an example, a bunch of serialized shows. They don't have to be more than 8 episodes in a season or whatever, and then have the movie be some sort of culmination event, where you're not doing 5 a year or whatever. You're doing 1 a year, 2 a year max, just to space it out, because I think we're all going through Marvel fatigue at this point. And that
Mike, did you actually miss that? Netflix actually did that. The Defenders,
right?
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, they had a bunch of shows, but that's not been the standard. They do all that and also put out 4 to 5 movies a year, or 3 movies, I guess, is the real figure, right? But that's still a lot considering.
Yeah.
And I feel like I also think that this is also relevant to streaming stuff. I wouldn't mind if they went back to the 1, maybe 2 episodes a week model. Like The Mandalorian readopted that model with its release. And it does give you something to talk about for the whole week, like, oh, I wonder what Mando's going to do next. I wonder what's going to go on or happen.
I actually like that myself, yeah.
Yeah. And I also, at first I really liked being able to binge a show the entire season the first weekend it came out or whatever. I get the appeal of that, but it becomes very flash in the pan. You don't really care after the weekend, You talk about it for the following week and maybe the week after, but then you're done.
And it does kind of suck, too, when you burn through something and you're like, well, great.
Yeah, you finish the book too early. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been one of the... I mean, you think about must-see TV. It was must-see TV because it only happened once a fucking week. What's Seinfeld and the gang getting into this week, Always leave them wanting more, right? I think that it goes a long way. I wouldn't mind if they went back to that format. Or even 2 a week. That'd be fine. That'd be a fair compromise,
I mean, I like the once a week, and I think they should pair that. I've been saying this for years now. They really need to make it to where you can create like channels, and not just your list, but to where it'll play like one episode of a show and then go to another show and play one episode, and so on, and like cycle through. So
Sure.
maybe you have like, I don't know, 10 different shows that you like to watch, that the episode comes out once a week and it will play through those instead of binging one show all the way through episode after episode. I
Yeah.
wish in some cases, unless it was like a two-parter or something, that it would play like it does on a regular TV network, so that you can sit and you don't get sick of watching it, but it plays like the next show, so you...
That's a cool idea, and it almost makes you become the director, you know.
Yeah.
And not only are these, not only is CBS not having to pay for a curator, they're getting paid for
Yeah.
you to have the right to curate your own.
Right. So you
Fucking
could have
network,
like
evident-
your
you
list
know.
that you pull from, but then they should have like another section where you pick, I don't know, 10 shows, 12 shows, and then it'll cycle through those shows until they end.
So custom playlist, pretty much.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, to where it just plays, season 1, episode 1 of each show, and then episode 2, all the, through all the
And in
shows.
theory, you could set your playlist preference to like the whole show, or just like chunks of
Yeah.
a show. Then maybe if there's a companion show, like if we take the Marvel, like Jessica Jones, if you wanted to do that fresh, you line it up in a way where you watch a few episodes of Jessica Jones, switch to Luke Cage, switch to Daredevil. In that way, I could see pretty much custom. It would also take out a lot of these things that people have problems with, like autoplay features. You can set that on Netflix, or you can disable. Disney Plus always ends the show. If you could go in there and be like, I just want to watch all the Mandalorian since it's all out. So just autoplay the whole thing.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah, I can't believe you can't. What was the service? I was trying to turn autoplay on or off. I guess it was Disney Plus, and I couldn't turn it on.
Probably Disney
It
Plus.
just wasn't available. Yeah,
The,
that
the,
was shocking.
the
Because
actual
it's a standard now.
the actual formatting feature is also rather annoying. I mean, some of these UIs, the layouts are horrible. Amazon Prime was horrible in the beginning. They have improved.
It was.
Netflix probably had the best layout from the start and kept it up pretty much. I don't really like this trending thing. I'd like it. It depends. Like to see what people are watching, but some of the decisions, I'm just like, really, Lion King? I didn't get into that craze. Tiger King.
It also
sorry.
gets kind of annoying with Netflix where they always suggest their originals, no matter whether or not you'll like them or not, which is kind of, I don't know, it's lame and annoying. And their algorithm.
The
at
originals
this
or
point-
that feature? Both.
No, I'm talking about like if Netflix made something, a show, a movie, they always suggest it to you first. And you're like, well, I'm obviously not going to like this particular movie or whatever the hell it is, so why are you suggesting it to me? It's just kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't like, since we're talking about it, I don't like how if you like scroll over a show, it gives you the preview. It starts playing the.
Yeah.
I don't like that so much.
Yeah,
So-
that can be annoying.
They really should.
I think they finally made it to where you can turn that off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I want to click, if I want to watch the preview, give me like a button where I can just click
Yeah,
preview
yeah.
or whatever,
Hulu's interface is pretty annoying too.
Yeah.
And then I know on at least on the Roku I had, the Roku TV, it does this weird thing if you watch a show more than once, like something you put on in the background or watch at night that you've seen before, when it cycles back through like a season, for some reason it just plays the last 5 minutes of all the episodes.
Yeah, Amazon does the same thing. I mean, sorry,
Super
Hulu.
annoying.
Hulu does the same thing, and when you're done with it, like
That's
you fall
Hulu, yeah.
asleep,
Yeah,
it just disappears from your history. You have to go up and
Yeah.
search it individually.
super annoying
Like
the
I
way
fell
that
asleep.
Hulu
Like
works.
there was 3 more episodes. I fell asleep on a few episodes in and just played through the whole season and had me watch something they recommended afterwards, which I didn't
Yep.
care about. Now that's on my playlist. I'm never going to watch that. I
Yeah,
agree.
and why can't you get rid of stuff from your continue watching? Should be able to do that right from the apps. You shouldn't have to go on your laptop and do a bunch of crap to remove that. That's super annoying too, especially when it autoplays something. Then you continue watching, it's always there, and you're like, what the hell? I don't know. There's a lot of things I think that they need to start listening to some feedback and clean up.
Well, so I tried to bring it up earlier. This is time to give us Star Trek. Spy Trek. Bill, this is a perfect spot
Oh, right.
to do the Spy Trek.
Oh God, yeah.
Spy Trek on us, since it's CBS All Access. And Picard isn't much better than... I mean, they really should have made Picard a little bit more traditional since Discovery was so out there. But they just followed the trend. Action.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams Action Trek. You call it Spy Trek.
Action Trek.
I call it Action Trek. 'Cause the
Well, no, I see where you're coming from on the J.J. Abrams thing, because it's a lot of action. And I even see what you're talking about with Picard. The reason I call it Spy Trek, though, is it's just there's so much like espionage and mystery
Betrayals.
and all
They
this
need to go with
stuff
the
going on.
J.J. Abrams mystery box. I think Star Trek should not follow the mystery box ideal. But continue, sorry.
They just stylized it in a very odd way, and I didn't care for it. You know, there was some things where you're like, oh wow, they gave it some pretty good production value and that kind of thing, but there was a lot of cliches that I didn't particularly care for. Yeah, spoiler alert here for Picard if you haven't seen it, but just I don't know if you guys have seen it or whatnot, but
Go for it, man.
but it just they're like, oh, Picard is dying. I'm like, okay,
Is
just
it at least that disease from from the next generation?
hell, no. So he has some sort of inoperable brain tumor type of thing. So
Which I find hard to believe, because I
Yeah.
watched a clip the other day where Dr. Crusher repaired a broken rib with a fucking wand. So,
right, I don't know. Just that kind of stuff. Let's add some extra drama where it doesn't need to be. A lot of that crap. And I could even get down with the whole spy vibe if they brought in the Tal Shiar and that kind of stuff. But then it was like, oh, but there's all these people who have infiltrated the Federation and Starfleet, and I don't know. Just it got to be a little too much for me, and everything felt odd. Like the interview that they do in the early episodes with him, or the first episode maybe, and the reporter is like hammering him, and there's
yeah,
like
fake
all
news,
these
Bill. You gotta get that fake news narrative in there. Even
like
though
well,
it's like years in the future, thousands.
and first of all, when's the last time you're watching any Star Trek that even mentions anything having to do with television? Right.
never.
So
Well,
right, so
maybe
they don't
it's,
really,
Do they even have television programs? I remember the holodeck.
I don't think
Who-
so. No. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, so they have like this whole feeling that they're trying to sensationalize for ratings or something and put like political spin on this whole deal. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense
As I
at all.
said, it seemed like they're trying to put modern day politics in Star Trek, and there are
Oh, they most definitely did.
There are ways to do it,
Yeah.
but that did not seem like the way. I agree. That soured me that first episode.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
really?
does Janeway show up in Picard at all?
No, the Borg chick does.
Yeah, I heard about
79.
that. 7 or 9, yeah.
Supposedly she goes all badass, and they're like, "You're not going to go back and kill someone." Probably not. And she goes back and kills whoever she wanted to.
She's always been a badass, though, so that makes sense.
Oh. Well, I'm glad she has work. I like that actress. She's
Yeah,
been
Jerry
in
Ryan.
She's done some interesting stuff. some
Boston
sci-fi
Legal.
movies.
Yeah. I liked Boston Legal.
Okay. All you, man. But, yeah, other streaming services. If you guys have any drinking game, take a shot now. Crunchyroll. That's
Well-
the other side of these streaming services.
You got me. You got us, Brian. You got us again. No, I'm kidding. There was no drinking game, but I'm gonna take a shot anyway, as you said so.
Sounds about right.
Got my little quarter pint of Jim Beam here. I'm having a good time. Okay.
Awesome sauce.
Got some penis enchiladas from Ryan's. Having a great time.
Okay, but Crunchyroll is doing stuff with their subscription money. They're putting out original programming. They got a lot of flack for a series they premiered. It was very, what's the best way to put this? Very progressive show. The writing staff was all females. You know, touting that whole progressive line.
How was it?
It's not out yet.
Oh.
They just put a trailer out, but they put out other original animated things based on webtoons. They threw some money at some things that are popular mangas, which I think is the better way to go. If you got some webtoons you can get the rights to and throw behind some money to get them produced, that's very smart. Like they have one called Tower of God, which is actually getting a lot of press. It's a manhwa, Korean version of a manga. I always butcher the pronunciation. And they produced... There's also another, which is more of a generic fighter series called God of High School, which no one cares about. But Tower of God they're talking about. This is what I'm talking about. These streaming services, yeah, it's cool to do original things, but you have to expect a certain failure rate with that. If you want to produce something that either a novel or comic book or book series, I know that's the same as novel, and try to produce that well, that's better. I would love to see something like the Dresden Files done right instead of that horrible sci-fi show. I'm sure you guys could think of several things that these streaming services could put some money into and do much better than Hollywood, like Ender's Game.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing like a series with that.
It would work better than a movie. Anything else you guys can think of that streaming? The Witcher was a good example. A badly executed example, as most people agree.
Something that I think they could realistically
Shadowrun,
put to
Mike?
film.
Made into a TV show?
No, see, I thought about my knee-jerk reaction was StarCraft, but that it would take a
Fallout.
lot.
Yeah, StarCraft
Eh,
has a lot of lore behind it. Same thing with the Warhammer universe. That would be hard to do.
yeah, something vaguely related to the Fallout universe would be interesting, but I don't see it lasting a long time. I feel like it'd be a short. And that's the other thing. I wouldn't mind if they went back to the occasional miniseries.
Yeah.
I feel like there are very few miniseries in the streaming world.
Yeah.
I feel like Fallout, if you took the approach where you just built the world and then you could follow different characters, you could serialize that.
Create a whole new
Yeah, I
story
feel like-
for the Fallout world.
Having several seasons of that, I feel like would get boring. You know,
It just depends on what you couldn't follow the video game.
no,
You'd
no,
have to
yeah,
just
some
build it
different
within the
vaults.
Well, you
world.
could
Yeah.
do it from the very beginning. You could do it from the first Fallout, sort of a retrospective.
Nah, I feel like you
Expand from
start.
there. That would
if
actually be
anything,
good
you-
if you went from, if it was like a sequel
Kinda like The
to the
Walking
first
Dead type of thing.
Fallout and a prequel to the second Fallout. That might be interesting to see. You wouldn't actually replicate it. You would basically do a quick summary of the first Fallout game, then create original story for what happened between the first and second game in the Fallout. That might be cool. That might be a
I
cool
think-
idea.
You're better off, in order to capture the max audience, you're better off just doing the first season or whatever, first miniseries on Fallout 3. So you get the whole born in a vault, follow the kid
Yeah.
through the vault, and then episode 3 or whatever, you leave the vault and kind of follow that story. And then you've built the world. So then you could do, oh, there's also Vault fucking 339 out in, you know, Cambodia that is also opening up for the first time, and now it's a new story about something else and someone
Or
else.
you could pivot to like a gritty Brotherhood of Steel military
Sure.
type of thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so the first one you got to build the world. I agree with you there. And I feel like Fallout 3, I didn't play. I still have yet to play Fallout 1 and 2. I've seen my cousin play them, but so maybe I'm misspeaking. But I feel like Fallout 3 did a really good job of making you understand what the world was. You know, you got 30 minutes in the vault, you're grown up there, you're blowing out birthday candles there, and then all of a sudden things go terribly wrong. I'm out of the vault for the first time. I'm going to fucking detonate Newton, you know, kind of thing.
I mean, you could even spend time, you know, in a vault with a show.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Drama,
of situational
whatever, you know.
comedy, like a
Yeah,
sitcom.
yeah, a sitcom in a vault. Yeah,
The guys that stayed. I'm not going out there, man. What the fuck? You crazy?
Yeah, we didn't hear from him. He could be dead. He's probably
He
dead.
probably is dead. Yeah. I'm gonna get some birthday cake down the hall. So
I don't know why, but Norm Macdonald just popped into my head there.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I'm not going out there.
yeah.
He's probably dead. He's dead.
It's funny, I
Oh,
bring up shows that streaming services can do, and you guys jump on Fallout.
We love Bethesda here, Brian. You brought up Fallout, actually.
I did.
Didn't-
Sorry.
Oh, you did. Of course you did.
Yeah.
See,
He brought up anime, so yeah.
See, I know of two book series that they're talking about getting in. One is Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, which is fantasy. That would be sort of cool to see.
Mistborn. Hey, Born Identity is my husband. We're divorced though. I'm Mistborn. Sorry.
Okay, nice joke for someone who knows nothing about the series. It's basically a gritty, dystopian fantasy. And also, of course, what I keep trying to get you to read, Bobaverse has some people talking to him in Netflix. I follow these guys, some of these people on Twitter, and Reddit, so I know that they're in talks with Netflix, and that's a smart maneuver.
Oh, in talks with Netflix. I thought you said
Yeah.
he talks with Netflix. I was gonna say like, oh, let's be Hulu. There's like a translation table.
I doubt Orson Scott Card's gonna get anything. Progressives hate
Orson
him.
Scott Card's a great name though.
Yeah. But
How's Card spelled? C-A-R-D? Like a basic bitch, or is there like a K in there?
No, it's CARD.
Ah, basic bitch.
he did not choose his name unless it's a pen name. I haven't looked into that.
I'm just thinking of Talon Card from Star Wars. Karrde. Great name. Great character.
He's fictional. Orson Scott Card.
You're
is a real
fictional!
person. I wish. If I was fictional, I would have superpowers, I would hope. Because that would be boring otherwise. There would at least be the possibility of superpowers or supernatural things happening if I was fictional. So, let's hope you're right, Mike.
Disney Plus needs to do a Cheers in Space with Star Wars Cantina.
Yes, please. Yes. You don't even gotta give me much, man. Give me like 3 45-minute long episodes a year.
Yeah.
Or even 15-minute long episodes every couple of weeks. That'd be fine too.
That
Just
would
check
go
in.
over well.
Ooh, it'd be cool if they add another show, which I'm sure they will in the next 3 to 5 years. They'll have a second TV show on Disney Plus, some serial for Star Wars. And then you get the reaction show, where this is how it trickles down to the guys in the cantina. They hear about shit, you know, they fucking, oh, you hear there's this little green guy that's been going around shutting shit down? Yeah, man, there's like a Mandalorian that has his back.
Well, we really shouldn't be pitching this to Disney. I think this is something that YouTubers would do better. Sort of a parody on Star Wars. Because
I don't think they would.
Star Trek tried to do something similar with short tracks. I don't know if you saw that, Bill.
Seen it, yeah.
Are those good? Those are meant to be short, little, almost comedic / dramedy little things.
Oh, yeah, H. John Benjamin was in one of those, right? I think it was. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, they weren't very successful from what I know. No one I know talks about them well. But yeah, I do like the idea of a Cheers in Star Trek universe. But I don't think Disney could do that well. That's where I'm arguing with you. I mean, fight me, bro. I don't think Disney could do that well. They don't do comedy very well. They do comedic things well, like
Yeah,
Marvel.
but it doesn't need to be like full on comedy though. That's the thing.
We're talking about a sitcom. That's almost always. You talking about an evolution of the sitcom?
I mean, not everything has to be slapstick, laugh track type of comedy though. You know what I mean?
That in fact is, I've seen several people like play The Big Bang without the comedy laugh track, and that really does seem bad. I never liked Big Bang Theory anyways too much. It had its novel appeal, but it seemed like the same shit but with geeks. Seemed like almost a more incel Friends for geeks. Because it's a whole bunch of dudes and the one chick moves in
How
and
dare you.
everyone has the hots for them. And slowly you get the chicks trickling in. And then a whole bunch of losers with women because they're geeks.
Hey, Brian, do you have like a mirror handy or anything, or can you see yourself in the little window there in Skype?
Yeah?
Brian has.
Can you see
Brian,
yourself in your little window?
Talking about they're geeks. I'm like, yeah,
No, I'm
you're
not
very
saying
geek.
that as a bad thing. I'm saying they
Yeah,
do
no,
it
it's-
badly.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah, they do.
self-identified geek.
At a certain point, it does get old. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
just people who don't know anything about geeks did a show about sitcom about geeks.
It's a geek fantasy.
Yeah.
Because it's also, they're all
is.
fucking. Three of them are doctors. They have these prestigious jobs, and they get to wear whatever the fuck they want to these jobs, and then they all end up with hot fucking wives.
Yeah.
So it's like every. Oh, and everyone's. In the people they're trying to appeal to, oh, yeah, you are a fucking astrophysicist. Even if you're
Who
a
does
fucking.
Raj end up with?
I don't know, I didn't
probably
watch.
Have the wrong name, not probably Raj. But
Yeah, that may fit his character if he ended up single. I've only seen maybe 30
I know
episodes
the
total.
Jewish guy, whatever.
Ends up with that big titty blonde chick,
Yep.
and Sheldon ends up with that fucking hot ass Albanian chick. And obviously,
Penny.
Heifstetter ends up with Penny.
The-
Raj probably ends up banging fucking all the Victoria's Secret models or something in some weird twist.
I don't mean to diverge from streaming services, but I'm just,
I would say no problem, but I legitimately had something I was going to chime in on with that. I bet you. Oh, this is what it was. I bet you Disney Plus ends up selling some properties eventually because there are going to be some things that they really can't do anything with, and still keep the Disney brand. So they're going to have to offload some things.
some
like
mature
they can't-
content.
Yeah, I think like the Star Wars Cantina, fucking Star Wars Cheers. I don't see
think
Disney being able to do that well.
I think in that case they'll just move it over to Hulu. I mean, they own Hulu, so at least
Oh,
both.
they
They
own it?
own like 90% of Hulu, right?
Yeah.
10%.
I bet you they'll buy Rooster Teeth. That's going to be the next move for
Okay,
Disney.
yeah, but
Because they have a lot of YouTube exposure.
Oh, Rooster Teeth just kicked one of their founding members, but Rooster Teeth ain't what they
Who?
used to be.
Who
The
did they
guy who
kick?
did Caboose from Red vs. Blue.
Oh, Blaine? I think his
Whatever
name was
is.
Blaine. Joel? Joe? I think it was.
Supposedly
Joe.
he's too right wing for them, and they
He's been on the outs for a long time.
Yeah,
I was really into Rooster Teeth like 3 years ago, and I looked into it, and he was like the fucking
conspiracy
redheaded
nuts.
stepchild of the fucking original group.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have the little out one, but with today's current atmosphere, I understand, but I don't even like really what they've been doing recently. You've been into Rooster Teeth, Mike? That is an example of a streaming service, so to speak. They have their own channel.
Yeah, I'm not on first. Although I kind of want to subscribe because I do want to watch Last Laugh because I love John Smith and I heard he does really John Smith from Funhouse. I'm a big Funhouse fan.
See, I tried to get into some of their series, but I couldn't really. I liked Ruby in the beginning
I didn't like Ruby.
until they killed off the really cool chick who was into
I have
the
no idea.
loser guy. I forget their names. I'm horrible with names. Of course, Red and Blue fan, and up until season 13.
Sure.
Ruby, I liked for about 3 seasons, and they totally flipped the table on it, and I just lost interest.
Yeah, no, I like. I wasn't into them for a long time, but I think I found them through like the. I know we're way off topic now, but I guess it's kind of on
Yes,
topic.
it's sort of on topic. Rooster Teeth is sort of a streaming service on its
And they're
own.
owned by Warner Brothers
Mm,
at this point. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if the point I was trying to make was I wouldn't be surprised if Disney bought them or some other company that had roots in YouTube because that's the last frontier, as it were, for Disney is YouTube content. And a fucking Star Wars Cheers would do very well on YouTube, I think. A
yeah,
fully licensed, fully actualized Star Wars Cheers. And you don't need a lot of money. You just need
no,
one set, really.
yeah. I think that I brought it up before. I think YouTube creators could do a better job than Disney could with a Star Wars cheerish show.
Yeah, because they don't have all the fucking bureaucracy to deal with. And they could just,
Just have a
d-
room of
this is
writers.
your vision. This is what's, yeah, a pure translation
It
of
would
vision
be
to screen.
it would be a separated a parody of the Star Wars universe. They could get away with that as long as they had Disney's blessing to do it. Nintendo's notorious for hunting down people who use the Mario on YouTube, though. So you sort of need to have approval of Disney to do something like that.
Yeah, no, that's why they're going to buy something, and if they're smart, they understand that you can't really Kathleen Kennedy or whomever understands that you got to give whatever company you bought the space to do what you bought them for, you know. And I would love to see Michael Jones in a cantina, bitching about the Mando destroying his business or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Would be quite interesting. But
Bill, I'm sorry. I feel like we've been talking over you for the last 10 minutes.
No, you're good.
is there anything you want to bring up, Bill?
We've covered a lot of ground. Nothing else really pops to mind.
There's only one thing I want to bring up, and it's the final thing I want to sort of get the ball rolling on. Kevin Smith doing He-Man for
Do with this
Netflix.
Kevin Smith. You're really hoping to get a rise out of Mike, aren't you?
I also was hoping to branch this off because some of these names have been associated. It's more of a jumping off point, but before that, Mike, yeah, can I get a rise out of you, Kevin Smith doing?
All right, so DC has their own subscription service now, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so I wouldn't mind a Kevin Smith directed Green Lantern animated series. I would not mind that
I
at
don't
all.
give a fuck
My,
about He-Man. I agree. I don't care. Enough
yeah,
about
who
that
the fuck
property.
cares about He-Man? No one.
Well, I
Yeah,
met one
I
anime
had
guy
some cool
recently
toys.
who has his monorail is He-Man, like some numbers. He obviously cares about it. I talked to him about it recently. He's like, "Yeah, I hope they don't do it dirty like they." Some people have been talking about Tila becoming the main protagonist and pushing off He-Man because he's toxic masculinity when he totally isn't. They make
It's
fun
not.
of
Not at all.
He-Man for being gay because he's so
Yeah.
sensitive.
Flamboyant.
But
Yeah.
besides getting a rise out of Mike, as Bill has said, which I failed.
Well,
what do
just
you
real quick
feel-
on that, he just don't do anything else in the universe. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you can even give me a prequel, and I'll go watch a prequel. You know,
Best
but
way not
nothing
to solve
past Clerks 2 in continuity. That's all. The book is closed, bro. You made a fucking point of saying the
Yeah.
book is closed. So there's the rise, Brian.
it. But
Rise
what
and
about
run
some of
like
these other
fucking
names that
calculus.
have popped up and that will surely rise in the future? names like J.J. Abrams.
Stop giving J.J. Abrams beloved properties. Gonna
Same
say
thing,
it now.
Same thing with the guy who ruined Transformers. The name is
Michael
escaping.
Bay. Same
Michael
deal.
Bay.
Stop giving him beloved properties.
I know there's some controversy around him, but I still like Joss Whedon for things.
I think he's a little over the hill now. He was good for a bit. I think he was still a little overhyped. He did the Avengers right when he had it in his hands. It wasn't great. I think it stood on its own. He did well with the series. I think he's the best person to handle a beloved series. I will give him credit.
Joss Whedon handles nostalgia well, I think.
He's handled it with kid gloves, okay? He did not do anything
No,
to
he
piss
handles it.
fans off. He could have done more with it, theoretically, but I couldn't have done any better with it. I don't think many other people could have either. So I will give him props for that. Still think he's overhyped a little bit, but he, of course, wants to reboot Buffy with a black female lead, and I just find that funny. Him talking about it. They're not going to do it. I don't even care if they would do it.
Bill, go on about J.J. Abrams.
Look, he's a good director, and as standalone films, I tend to like what he does, but I don't like the direction he ends up taking. You know, these big sci-fi, properties. I don't think that he really was the right choice. I don't know if who knows, maybe he was the best out of the bunch, but I don't think he was the right choice for Star Trek or Star Wars. I wasn't happy with either one. Now, if you were going to say these were completely new properties, and you watch the films without any background information, then they're good, right? Objectively, not great, but they're good.
He has a notoriously bad habit, like Fringe. He sort of did a weird thing with that TV series that was popular for a bit. I think he also Dollhouse. I think he had some hand in, or was that Joss Whedon?
That's Joss Whedon.
Oh.
Yeah, and Christina Ricci.
Okay. But
yeah, I don't know.
Fringe was definitely associated with him. And think about the history of that. Okay, close us out, Bill. I think we're done. We're reaching now.
All right. Excuse me. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully you had fun. I know we did. As always, let us know how much you hate us and disagree with us in the comments. And until next time, remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.